Are we rolling?
We are. So,
Bob, tell us how you got in here. What size aircraft did you come in on, and how many guys were on it?
Okay, we came in on Hueys. Here we go. Probably 8 guys at a time. And we'd come 6 ships together. But we landed on top of that. I believe was Hamburger Hill. It was LZ that had been cleared of trees and stuff down to about that high. So there were trees, stumps that high. They had bunkers and so forth. So we would come in, they only had room for 1 chopper at a time. So we would come in, let about 8 guys usually off, full everything. Over the course of 3 or 4 days, we moved the whole battalion here on the same hill. And as more people came, we moved off. About the 3rd night, I was on guard with my guys, sitting on the side of the hill, watched a B-52 strike in this valley from about 2 miles away. And it was like we were right there almost, but pretty awesome deal. You don't see the planes because they fly at about 50,000 feet. You don't hear we were far enough away, you don't hear the bombs drop. All you see is them start to explode. They're dropping 2,000-pound bombs. The craters that you see, sort of, were 30 feet across, 20 feet deep. And they were everywhere. There was, on the bottom of the valley, for the most part, there was no vegetation because it had all been blown up, basically. In a lot of places, the craters touched. See, there was, I don't know how many bombs they dropped, but it had to be in the thousands, I would guess. They still moved, the VC and NVA still moved equipment through every night. When you're sitting up on the hill, you could see lights every once in a while. And they actually moved trucks through at night.
Despite all that?
Despite all that, yeah.
Tell us a bit about your unit. When you came in, was that a platoon-sized unit? And what platoon was it?
Yeah.
And tell us what battalion it was from.
I was in the 2nd and 7th Cav, Company B. We had companies at that time were probably 110 to 120, well below what there was paper strength, and then there was the real deal, and we never had paper strength. Platoon was about 35.
And which was your platoon?
2nd platoon.
And did you have a rank or position in the platoon?
Yeah. Sergeant, squad leader. Usually had 6 or 7 in the squad.
And when they told you were coming here, how did they brief you about what their expectations were of you?
Just said we were going to Shau Valley.
No more.
Get on, there's that, when that chopper lands, get on it.
did you have any idea what it was going to look like, what it was going to be like?
No, I figured it'd be jungle. And it was.
Were you here to secure the area so that they could set up the base here?
Sweep. We were
Just
the
a
sweep guys.
But
Come
later,
down off the hills and looking for Charlie.
but later they established the fire base here, or whatever you call it.
Evidently, because there was nothing here when I was
Nothing
here.
here at that time.
The fort, the old French fort, was here around the airstrip.
Mm-hmm.
Airstrip was dirt when we finally got here. We got here late. I was here 32 days.
How were they bringing in these vehicles over these hills?
Yeah, well,
Is there,
the valley opens up to Laos,
oh, I see.
okay, and it ends in Da Nang.
Uh-huh.
Go to Way and go to Da Nang. And you can come down the valley, and that's where their supplies were coming through.
So this was the main route you wanted to
Right.
interdict.
And we were here to stop them.
Mm-hmm.
We put the whole battalion on the floor of the valley within a week. You know, companies moved. I mean, you can see how big it is. Companies moved in different places. Our captain wanted to be a general. We moved. He was desperate to get into it with somebody.
That's been
We weren't.
West
We weren't.
Pointer.
Yeah, we weren't. He was. We spent 32 days. I think I walked the valley, not the whole valley, but we walked down and back at least twice. Never saw one guy.
One Kong.
Yeah, never saw one.
They saw you.
Oh, I'm sure they did. Every other company we had some kind of contact. Nothing really bad, but they had some kind of contact. We never did. And we were desperate to find somebody. You know, we captured a couple anti-aircraft guns, 37 millimeter, that they used to shoot at the jets and planes and stuff that would fly over. Ultimately, I think the battalion probably captured 40 or 50 of them.
Guns or Kong?
Guns.
All made in Russia.
Yeah, they were all. It was Russian stuff. Wore the same clothes for 32 days
Where did you sleep?
on the ground.
Didn't you dig yourself a little
We dig a foxhole.
foxhole
Yeah.
to sleep in?
We carried, and this was pretty consistent throughout. Boots, pants. I think I told somebody before, no underwear because it's too hot. Didn't wear a shirt. Carried a shirt. We usually put that on in the evening and stuff when it got a little cooler, but virtually never wore it. Black vest, pack. Pack was probably 40, 50 pounds. Carried 5 canteens of water, so that's about 10 pounds. M16s, about 9 pounds. 200 rounds ammunition for the M16s, about 10 pounds. Normally we carried a couple hundred rounds for the machine guns. That's another 10 or 15 pounds.
Field marching pack.
Yeah,
70 pounds.
steel helmet. I don't know, it was 3 or 4 pounds, something like that. A couple Claymore mines, 2 or 3 pounds apiece.
Grenades? Hand grenades?
4.
So did you have a flap jacket?
Yeah.
Oh, but you wore that, not the shirt.
Yeah, you had to wear it. A lot of guys didn't want to wear it, but you had to, which was, it's not a bad thing, but. And it's not like the body armor and stuff they have today. I mean, it was better than nothing, but they wear ceramic stuff now and things like that that'll actually stop most everything unless it's really big.
Did you ever bathe?
No.
I was wondering, because we have the dioxin around here, does it make you feel anything special or distinctive, the fact that these chemicals, which were proved so poisonous, were in the environment when you were here?
To the best of my knowledge, they weren't here when I was here.
They followed you.
I think so. Like I said, most of this valley was like a plowed field that I saw.
Because of the bomb craters?
Yeah, everything, the mountains and the trees and stuff like that, where you see them, it was probably like that. Because they didn't bomb up there, but they constantly bombed the valley because their supplies just kept coming. And at night, that's the only alternative we had because we didn't operate at night, basically. All you could do is bomb them.
Were the bombs at night?
What about things like malaria and other
got vaccinated against, God, I don't know. I must have had 20 shots. I don't know. I mean, I don't think there could be anything that we weren't vaccinated for that they had a vaccination.
So did you get bites and stuff?
Mosquitoes don't like me.
Like that.
We had, bug spray or not spray. We had bug juice.
Leeches liked you.
Yeah. As we moved, anytime you moved through like this kind of stuff, elephant grass, water, whenever you'd come out, you'd check for leeches. And that was, pants down, because leeches go everywhere. Okay? And I mean everywhere. And you either, I smoked then, but you either burn them off, and all you got to do is just touch them with like a cigarette, and they'll back out because they kind of latch onto you, and you don't feel them, and they'll get. I mean, they're really small. They'll get about this big.
With blood.
With your blood, if you let them. Okay. You never feel it. And you can get them on your neck.
Are they still here?
Oh, I would guess so.
Stay out of the bush.
Yeah. And you get them in places that because we wore a belt and all that kind of stuff, and they get inside your pants. And I don't know how they did that, but they did.
These guys gonna want
During your 32 days in the valley, did your platoon take any combat casualties?
No.
No injuries, no KIA?
No. We never saw Charlie.
You just kept walking back and forth?
All we did is, we walked every day, till, 3 or 4 o'clock. I think we took breaks and stuff, but we basically walked, and then you'd move like up on one of these ridges. You'd move like up on a ridge, so you had some high ground, and you'd have a perimeter and big foxholes, and hope nothing happened at night. Nothing ever did. One thing that was kind of interesting, I don't know, sometime during that time, we were fairly high up on a ridge, and it was, 4 or 5 o'clock, and so we're kind of relaxed, and 2 jet fighters flew back in from Laos, and because they had 37 millimeter anti-aircraft in here, they flew like barely above the trees. Okay, so they flew below us.
Yeah.
And you can get, once you're out, you get, I don't know that you're jumpy, but you're always waiting for something to happen because it did. So these 2 guys are flying like this close, barely off the ground. They weren't flying over the speed of sound, but they're probably flying 500 miles an hour. And all of a sudden you see something go by before you hear them, and then you hear like 2 jets going by. I mean, everybody was in holes and behind the bushes and all kinds of stuff because it just happened like that. And then they're gone, and that was it. But so that was kind of interesting.
Where is the valley floor, your understanding, from where we are now?
This is it.
This is it.
This is it.
So you would have been marching along
Yeah,
something
and we
like that.
came. Well, these are all hills. We probably came from over here, down the valley.
Was there any local population
No.
here?
Never saw. There was nothing.
Nothing.
Anybody that was here, you'd shoot them.
Yeah.
You could.
But I mean, there was nobody living up
No.
here.
You
Not
saw
even-
activities at night.
Not even
or
the
you
mountain
heard-
yard, or what do they call those people?
They might have been up in the hills or
up
something,
in-
but we never saw.
Never saw.
No.
You saw or heard activities at night. What was the? You're not supposed to go down and do something about it, or what's
We
the
didn't
rule?
operate at night.
So that's just the rule. They can
Basically, yeah. I mean, we had some you know, you had some long range guys and you had some special force guys and stuff like that. I mean, they did some stuff at night, but we never.
What's the rationale?
We never did. You're at great risk at night. We would be. In most cases, because we flew. Anytime we'd get contact, if it was anything significant at all, you'd kind of pull back a little bit, and then you'd call either for gunships or you call for Air Force, heavy stuff. Depending on, you know, if you got a large concentration, it wasn't like World War II where you just kind of kept moving, you know, and you move from hedgerow to hedgerow and all that kind of stuff. We didn't do that. On occasion it happened, but normally we had so many assets that you would get, you know, like I say, you either get helicopter gunships or you'd get Air Force or Navy or somebody, and they'd come in and rocket on them, you know, miniguns, bombs, whatever it was, and then you'd go back.
So you draw them out and then stuff.
Yeah, you try to. So it wasn't any, you know, it wasn't like hand-to-hand stuff, or I'm sure that happened somewhere, but.
Yeah, but essentially you work two shifts. You work the morning shift and they work the night shift.
Yeah.
You know, everybody.
We owned the day, they owned the night.
Yeah.
Was it frustrating for you to see what they were doing at night while you were just kind of watching them?
Well, I saw them a couple of times from way up high. So normally you wouldn't see them. You might hear some things, but normally you wouldn't see anything. For the guys that were here, not just here, but here in country, it would be, you've heard the term that we had enough troops here that we could walk shoulder to shoulder from the Delta to Hanoi, and we could have. We had that many people. So it was frustrating for us that some of the awesome stuff that we had, we really didn't use it as effectively by any stretch of the imagination as we thought we should. And there's a lot of political stuff and things like that, but
So
yeah.
you thought that that working them at night would have been more effective than?
Well, the helicopters and the jets and so forth normally didn't fly at night. You know, because they used, at least the jets and stuff, use spotters and all that kind of stuff, and they're just not effective at night. Now, today you got all kinds of, you know, see them anywhere, anytime kind of stuff. It didn't have that then. So most of it was like eyeballs on the target, and they were very good, but you got to be able to see them.
Did you get an intelligence briefing? Did anybody tell you to take a prisoner or who the opposing forces were or anything
No.
related to that?
No.
Let's get out
That was
there.
you guys.
Yeah, we were hoping that what we did, your guys would
No,
then
I mean,
get briefed on.
I'm sure that, you know, maybe our colonel, I'm sure, and our captain, and probably the lieutenants, but basically what we did is we moved where, you know, I'm sure they said, okay, they think that there's somebody over here, you know, so they say, okay, we'll take the 2nd and 3rd platoon, you lieutenants, and take them over there, and you go this way and you go this way, and I'm sure that was, by the time it got to us, it was, you know, okay, your 3 squads are going this way and your 3 are going this way, and we kind of think that there's this there. That was what we got.
But did you have a clear understanding of what your mission in the valley was?
Yeah, stop them from coming through. I mean, that was ours. Yeah, I mean, it was beyond that's all we ever thought about, and you know, not getting killed in the process.
Well, you talked about the political stuff. Did you ever have a sense that the press may have made things worse, or certain politicians made things worse, or was there a sense you couldn't have victory if somehow things had been done differently, you might have actually won, or our country could have won?
On 2 or 3 occasions, and it didn't happen in here, but in other places. On 2 or 3 occasions that I recall, we took fire from areas that we weren't allowed to fire back. Or you had to call for permission to fire back. Didn't happen often, but it did happen. That'd be pretty frustrating. Somebody shooting at you, couldn't shoot back.
Did the people did the guys you were with have an opinion of President Johnson, for example?
I don't know per se, no.
They didn't say it's the president's fault that we can't shoot back, or it's more just the politician, the way it is, or something like that.
Yeah. Some of that stuff you learn when you get home. When Johnson and McNamara used to pick the places that we would bomb in North Vietnam, pick the trail junctions when the pilots were telling them there was never anything there, and we kept bombing the same place. Yeah. And if, when I think it was Fred that said that Curtis LeMay, I think he was still around at that time, said that if they don't do what we want, we ought to bomb them into the Stone Age. A lot of my types back then, regardless of your feelings at this point in life, we thought they should have done that.
Well, how did you guys deal with you can't chamber a round? The Johnson, you can't go out with a round in your chamber.
I don't ever remember going out without one.
So much for that
Had
policy.
Johnson's name on it.
Now, when we were back, at Evans, that's different. And we didn't carry we were seldom there, but I think we actually had to check our rifles in, if I'm not mistaken. But they were readily available because we all stayed in a pretty confined spot. But so when you went to the bathroom, you didn't carry your M16, but it was close. And that was just safety to keep somebody. They were cleaning their rifle, and you pop the guy next to you or something. You do have to be careful of stuff like that.
Was it at Camp Evans that your squad or your unit or whatever took mortar fire? Don't I remember hearing you talk to some men about taking mortar fire and being?
We got rocketed at Evans on a couple of occasions, and we weren't there much. And we'll probably talk about that when we get there. But
that wasn't here. You weren't rocketed here.
No, never.
It might be really interesting if you told the story that I think you talked to Bob at the War Museum about coming in on the Huey and the banking and the feeling like you're going to fall out.
That happened out on the beach. That was before I came here.
Oh.
Does it feel like you're here? Does this feel like the Shau Valley, or as the troops called it, the Shau Valley to you?
Kind of. If the fort was still here and I had a relationship, because this spot could be anywhere in this country, because it all looks the same, kind of. And you kind of just accept that that's where it is and move on. I didn't have an expectation that there would be anything left that I'd recognize. So if there is, then that's a plus, because it's been 42 years.
Are you glad you're here?
Yeah. No, I think it's very interesting. Any kind of, you think about things that happened, and for the most, I had no one killed. Didn't get shot, so I don't have those kind of issues. A lot of guys do. Was I shot at a lot of times? Yeah, but they never hit me. Of course, I was thinner then than I am now.
Smaller target.
When you don't bathe for 30 some days,
I don't don't want to think.
Oh yeah, I was going to tell this story. I forgot. I kind of just. Okay, I carried 3 pairs of socks, and as you have opportunity, and there was some running water, and I'm sure there still is running water, like in a stream, that was relatively clean. So every chance you had, what dirty socks you had, you'd wash them, and then you just tie them on or something, or stick them in your pocket. To keep them clean, so you keep your feet as clean as you can. The rest of it, you get dirty, you just get dirty. But as far as your skin is concerned, you only get so dirty. If you recall, like Pigpen and Charlie Brown, well, he always goes around in a cloud of dust. But as you get dirty and you just sweat like a pig here. That's why we carry so much water. But as you get dirty, you only get dirty to a point, and then you just kind of go like this, and all the dirt, most of the dirt just falls off. And that's
protective layer of
yeah,
dirt.
kind of.
Yeah.
But you just, because we didn't wear a shirt, so, and as you're going along, you just kind of go like that, and it just kind of, it doesn't flake off. But I'm sure everybody's been getting dirty in the garden or doing something. And you just kind of rub like this, well, half of it falls off. Well, that's like it was.
You don't get skin diseases?
No. No.
In addition to the water, were you taking some kind of electrolyte stuff? And nowadays they have Gatorade and that kind of thing. Were you taking salt tablets or anything?
We had salt tablets. Yeah, we probably did. We did take some salt tablets. The water was chemically treated. And they brought water out to us. We didn't, for the most part, never took standing water.
Yeah.
But it was chemically treated. It tasted awful. Okay, so we mixed Kool-Aid in it. At least that's what we did. Everybody probably had their own little deal. You put, I don't know, a half of one of those little packets of Kool-Aid. They probably don't even have it anymore. But you put about a half a packet in a canteen. And you get really tired of Kool-Aid too, but it masks most of the chemical taste.
Did the enemy plant mines at all in this area when you were here? Was there any of that?
No.
Worrying about stepping on a mine or something?
Worry about booby traps and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they were doing that.
Yeah.
Not explosives.
Yeah.
And
You had mines. You had claymores.
Yeah. But those were for defense. Those weren't offense.
Oh, okay.
Did you ever use offensive landmines or?
Booby traps or trails
Yeah.
or something?
No.
Like
So you sleep here, but you wouldn't lay anything
No.
back sort of.
No.
So you lay them, then you'd pick them up again at the end of the day, or once they were there, they were there.
Claymores we carried, and you put those out at night.
Right. And in the morning.
In the morning, you fold them up, put them back in their little sack, and
So they guaranteed your perimeter. So that
yeah. So if you got into it at night, you use those. And I think I talked about this at the museum, but there's about 2 pounds of C4 in a claymore, and about 2,000, like probably double-aught buckshot, and it would shred anything that was anywhere close to it.
So you aim it at a certain direction?
Yeah, you put them out in support of each other. So as you try to set up in a circle like a wagon train, kind of, so that each foxhole you get some support from the guy next to you, and you put them out so that you cover 360 degrees if you had enough.
Now, how are they triggered?
Electrically.
Electrically.
So you have a wire, it's got a little blasting cap, and you got a little clicker. It's about, I don't know, about that square. You just go, that's
what's
it.
the range of something like that?
If it was wide open, 50 meters probably. I mean, eventually you get out to they either fall or they're so wide apart that. But it was designed for like in your face kind of deal.
Close up?
Yeah.
Now
And you'd put them. It depends. If you had this much space, you put them further out. If you had a little bit of space, you put them out as far as you could. But you had to get them far enough away that when you trigger the thing, it didn't take you out too.
I was just going to ask that question. How did you keep, if it was for closer combat, how do you keep it from yourself getting blown up by it?
Everything went forward. That's why on the back it says back, and on the front it says toward the enemy. Okay.
It said that literally?
Yeah, it did.
The enemy.
It did.
That's the army.
Very
for you.
long wire?
That was for those guys
Yeah,
that
we
were
probably
brought
had-
in that were a little less.
Yeah.
50 feet or something like that. I mean,
If you can read this.
because if you got them that far away, it wouldn't hurt you.
Of course, those were those who couldn't read it.
It'd only
That's
go
the
forward.
problem in the army.
Slept with those things, the trigger.
One guy, you have at least one guy awake all the time. Yeah, theoretically.
And you slept in your clothes?
Oh yeah,
And
on the ground.
No
for
pajamas.
cover? Or do you
Are you ready to
Poncho
ready to
liner.
roll?
Yeah, you sleep on a poncho liner, which if you've done any camping or anything, I'm sure they got a new stylized version, but it's basically a fiber fill, little thin. I mean, it's like this thin that actually fits inside of a poncho. That government issue looks a little better than Eric's yellow thing, but basically it serves the same purpose. So if you had time, you'd stake down the poncho, 4 stakes on the corner. You'd run a string across the top. You'd hold the head part up like this, so it made like a little tent almost. Poncho liner underneath, and that's what you slept on the ground.
Because it may be raining.
Yeah, did that too. Yeah.
But that was inside of your little dugout.
No,
You didn't always dig out a
no.
little.
Foxhole was separate.
That's what you jumped into when you needed
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. We did get mortared when we were out on the beach a number of times. And you get to the point that I don't. How long do you want me going?
Keep going.
Okay. You're very attuned to anything that's out of the ordinary. So like one night, and this is out on the beach east of Evans, we were in this little village, or what was left of a village, because we were the sweep and clear guys where people were not supposed to be. Fox had like a 2-man foxhole, and it was sand, so it's pretty easy to dig in and stuff. So I was asleep. We had one guy on guard. When we got mortared, okay, the first, you hear him cough. And if you've ever heard one or seen one on the History Channel or whatever, as soon as you drop the mortar in, it coughs it out, kind of. First time it coughed, I was awake. Had nothing had hit. By the time the first one, and I was close, everybody's close to the foxhole. I was the second guy in the foxhole, on top of the first guy that was in there already.
He thought that was just fine.
Yeah. There was 2 guys in after me, and we're flat. I mean, we're not up with a gun or anything. We're flat. Because the guys don't come. When the mortars are dropping, nobody comes. First one, and we were on a trail too, which wasn't good for us. But the first one hit about 50 meters this way. The second one hit 50 meters that way.
You're bracket.
and we knew the third one was going to be really close. And you can tell by the sound how close they are.
Oh yeah.
And the third one, there's 4 of us in this foxhole. There were 2 more guys that were, and the trail's kind of like this actually. There were 2 more guys and they were off. There were some trees really close. They were both behind a tree. Third round hit this far from our foxhole. And it, because of this, the sand absorbed most of the force, and everything goes up. So nobody got hit, nothing, but it was this far.
Wow, that's amazing.
So
How
lucky.
Do you respond when you?
We did once they stopped, yeah. And we had
You put on your clean pants.
I think we had 2 mortars with us, and they do counter fire and stuff. And by the time the second one hit, we were firing back.
You kind of sort of know which direction. Or
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I didn't do it. I mean, how the mortar guys do it, I don't know, to be honest with you. Never fired one, never had to carry any of that stuff, which is just nasty. But they know by math. You kind of get a distance. I mean, did they know exactly where they were? No. But you throw out 3 or 4 rounds back, and at least makes them think, that you know what you're doing. Now, whether we hit anything, I probably didn't, but we took about 6 rounds and then stopped.
So Bob, if they were moving it back and forth, and getting closer and closer, does that mean they also had a forward observer somewhere guiding them, most likely?
Well, they know if they have anybody spotting anything, they know where you're at. We set up on a trail before it got dark because that's part of our deal, was to take away the trails and stuff like that. So they knew where we were, at least our group. And they just, I mean, they're good.
Yeah.
They're good. They don't have much, but they were good.
Pretty good too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They knew what they were doing.